What a jerk.
Greetings, friends. It's Josh.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're here today on another episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast, a podcast for gamers who don't have time to game.
Woo!
Ryan, what's going on?
Josh,
Ryan.
I realized on the way over here today that I am getting old.
Oh, no. No, we cannot age. We are forever young.
I was driving through your neighborhood to your house. I mean, to where our very professional studio.
Yes, the very professional studio where we record our episodes.
And someone down the street had several bags of, like, the dry mix to make concrete, like, sitting out in their yard. Mm-hmm. And I assume for a project they're going to do this weekend or something. And the first thought that came into my mind when I saw that was, man, I really hope it doesn't rain. And then I began, like, legitimately worrying about it. And then I realized, why do I care? I don't know that person. It doesn't impact any part of my life whatsoever. But I was, like, legitimately worried for this person that it was going to rain.
Hope it doesn't rain this weekend, so their Quickcrete project doesn't get ruined.
Like, all I could see was it raining and these bags of Quickcrete just, like, turning into concrete right where they sit.
See, now I want it to rain.
And I just realized,
served you right for leaving Quickcrete outside.
I just realized, like, at some point, I became old to where I would care about this person who I don't know. And their concrete getting rained on. So yeah, that happened to me.
Don't let your concrete get rained on. You got to get that out. Get it into your garage first off.
So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I kind of hope it does rain now so that they learn a valuable lesson.
You do realize that if it rains in the next couple of days, I'm going to ask you to drive down the street to see if they got it out of the rain or not.
See, I'm an adult in a different way, though. See, I want it to happen so that they learn, hey, you got to take care of your stuff. You can't leave it just sitting outside. I say this as I'm pretty sure I left a garden tool sitting out in my front yard right now.
Oh my.
Oh, that's funny. Speaking of being old.
Here we go.
Yeah. Like I said in the last episode, we've been doing a lot of cleaning, a lot of, going through stuff, purging things, and just digging out stuff. So we're still in the midst of that. It's been a crazy, crazy time. Lots of fun. Not really. But anyway, one of the things that has been found in this cleanup is my wife's old Tamagotchi.
Oh, love it.
And so she decided that she was going to replace the batteries in it, and she was going to give it to our daughter.
Nice.
For her to take care of the Tamagotchi. So my daughter has been working diligently with the Tamagotchi. See, I have no idea about how Tamagotchis work. I never had one.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't care. Wasn't my thing. But my daughter has been absolutely in love with it. She's really appreciated it and had a lot of fun with it. But whenever it needs something, it will beep at you.
Correct.
It beeps at you when it needs. It lets you know, hey, I need something. And so my daughter hands this thing to her brother, who is 3.
Yes.
And she goes, hey, let me know if it beeps.
And of course he did that right away.
And he goes, beep! Immediately. So yeah, somehow this child is related to me. I don't know exactly how, but like, it not even a pause in between. It was just like, here, let me know if it beeps. And she turns around and he goes, beep! She's like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
Son. Oh, you're amazing.
So I have questions. Was that his way of not having to take care of the Tamagotchi? Or
no, I don't think
was he messing with his sister?
Yeah, I think he was just like, I'll let you know if it beeps beep. It's beeping.
Yeah.
You know, that's his way of going like, hey, it's beeping. Yeah. Here, take it back.
Right. I don't want this.
He says it's his cell phone. That's what it's his cell phone is what he uses it as. But no, my daughter has been taking care of. I think it made it to like 6 days old before it left. We were wondering if that means that like you didn't take good enough care of it, and it's just like, okay, I'm done. I'm
out.
Suck as a person.
I'm running away.
You're not feeding me. You're not taking good enough care of me.
Oh man.
Or if it's if that's just the age that it reaches. We read that it's like 23 days. I think is as old as they can get.
Is the max?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I don't know.
Interesting.
I always assumed that if you didn't take care of them, they just died.
I thought that's what they did, but
apparently not. I don't know.
They run away. They're just
I guess
like,
so.
I'm greener pastures. I'm out of here.
Speaking of games where you take care of creatures, this is gonna go off into a weird tangent.
All right,
now.
I like where this is going.
So on the Sega Dreamcast, there was a game. I can't believe I'm going to talk about this. Okay, so first off, do you remember like the game Hey You Pikachu for the
absolutely.
64? Okay, so that had like a little microphone that you would plug in and you could talk to Pikachu.
Yep.
So for the Sega Dreamcast, there was a game called Seaman.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that.
Also had a microphone that you could talk to this thing. Leonard Nimoy, Spock was like the narrator of this game.
Oh my god. I did not know that.
And you had like the seamen were little creatures in a fish tank that you had to take care of.
Amazing.
And you had to like you had to feed them and and you use the microphone to talk to them. And eventually, if you did enough and walk them through, they would learn words and talk back to you and do all of this stuff. But I don't know that anyone ever got to the point, I don't know how long you had to do that
to keep
before they evolved to the point where they would. I'm pretty sure every time I tried to do it, they just died. But anyway,
that's incredible.
Yeah, do I have the mic? I've got to still have the microphone. I hope I still have the microphone. I still have the game. The problem is the internal battery for the Dreamcast, for any Dreamcast basically, is dead now. So anytime you turn on your Dreamcast, you have to set the time. And, the year. It's always the year 2000. And you have to
Y2K happened to the Dreamcast.
You have to always go back and reset it because the internal batteries are all dead. That kept for the internal clock.
Yeah.
To keep up with it because it didn't have the internet for it to connect to. But I was watching a thing the other day that the Dreamcast was the first console that you could officially play with friends anywhere in the world natively. It was the first one that had online capabilities with its 56K modem installed on it. Anyway, enough retro talk. We're here to talk new games and games that we're playing.
I always wonder with those types of things. The first thing I always think about is what's it like in a boardroom where they're talking, when they're all sitting around coming up with the plan for the Tamagotchi, and someone's like, I got an idea. Let's make the longest it can live 23 days. What are those conversations like? Yeah, these kids won't be able to keep it alive that long anyway.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know. Someone came. That's such a. The Tamagotchis were such a weird. But there was another one. What? Wasn't there? Or am I crazy?
There was 3 or 4 variations of that concept. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember. Tamagotchi was the most popular.
Yeah.
But there was other ones.
Okay. I don't like... No, like, it... I really think it was probably some, like, little, video game. It had to be, like, a video game developer, right? That was just like, hey, what about a game where we do this? And it's like, that's not good enough for a console. Not for another couple years, anyway, when we release it on the Dreamcast. But...
Let's put it on a little device in your pocket.
We can put it on a keychain.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be
Kids
like
will wear it around their hip when
It'll
they
be
go
a Game
to
and
school.
Watch. Just like a Game and Watch. Oh, man. Such a weird... What a weird, like...
That's what I was thinking about. Like, how did those conversations go?
Man, we really did have... Like, the 90s really were, like, the best of times. Like,
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
No one would come out with a Tamagotchi now.
Amazing.
There'd be an app for it.
Yeah, it would just be on your phone.
Yeah, and you'd forget about it. And
There
you'd delete
probably
it.
is a Tamagotchi app.
There's gotta be. You should look that up. Someone in our research department should get on that.
They will get right on it.
But-
I'm confident.
Research! Do it now! Oh, man. But no, like, just, I mean, the amount of technology where people were just, like, throwing spaghetti against the wall to see if it would stick. Like, I think this would be a fun thing that kids would buy and have. And the amount of disposable income that our parents had to just be like, yeah, sure.
Sure, why not? You want to buy what?
Like, I would never...
A 1-inch screen with a black and white monster pet in your pocket? Sure.
How much was a Tamagotchi when... They had to be like $30,
I don't
right?
even remember. That's
Like,
the crazy thing.
We didn't know!
It
Why
didn't
would-
matter.
it didn't
Everyone
matter.
else has one, Mom, so I want one.
Right. So my parents didn't buy me one, and good thing, because like I said, I wasn't interested really.
Our research department is letting me know that if you type in Tamagotchi in the App Store, you will get no less than 9,000 different options for virtual pets on your phone.
Virtual pets.
So there you go.
There you go. Do they evolve and fly away in a
Sure,
spaceship?
of course they do.
Sure, why not? See, now I'm gonna have to do like some hardcore, like absolute research,
Deep dive into Tamagotchi.
Like, who developed this? Like, whose idea was it? Like, where did he work before? I'm
always so curious as to what those meetings around that conference table, how do they go?
Well, I mean, you could have the same conversation. Like, the idea of putting. I mean, just thinking back, like to the amount of things that came out, like the Sega Genesis, like we'll just use the Sega Genesis as an example. So like, okay, we've got a 32-bit system, or a 16-bit system. What if we made it a 32-bit? Here's the 32X, and it's just gonna plug right in on top.
Just mash it right onto the top.
It's just gonna go right on top of your current Genesis, and then how about this? We're gonna release the Sega CD, but it's not a standalone console. The Sega CD partners with your Sega Genesis, and it'll come with a platform for your Sega Genesis to sit on. And they'll run off of the same things. It uses the same controllers.
And other people sitting around the table were like, that's a great idea.
Let's do that.
We should do that.
And then they come out with the Sega Saturn, and they're like, wait a second, we're not done with the Genesis. We're going to come out with the Sega Nomad, and it's going to be a portable Sega Genesis, and we're going to compete with ourselves. Yes,
we should definitely do that.
All of that happened within like a year of each other. like maybe not quite a year, but within like 3 years, like those were all conversations that were had.
Yeah.
Involving the Sega Genesis.
And you know that famous meme that we've all seen where the guy is like, he suggests something that's totally reasonable and they throw him out the window?
Right. And
no one got thrown out the window for any of those ideas.
Someone was sitting there going, guys, I think maybe we should move on from the Genesis and focus on the Sega Saturn.
That's who got thrown out the window.
That's the guy that got thrown out the window.
We should not compete against ourselves. They threw that guy out the window.
I know the Genesis has been a really successful console. I know. We killed Nintendo but Nintendo has their 64, we've got the Saturn. Maybe we should be focused on trying to compete with the next generation. What are you talking about?
They threw him out the window.
What are you talking about?
Goodbye.
We've got the most successful console ever. Oh, man. Anyway,
we digress.
We do digress quite a bit, in fact. That's okay. So yeah, we're here to talk about some new games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ryan, do you want to start? You want me to start? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Go for it.
So, somewhere around 3 to 4 months ago, maybe, we did a news episode where we talked about at the time, the most recent Xbox showcase. Mm-hmm. And one of the games we talked about was Another Crab's Treasure.
Yes.
And so I've been playing that.
Okay. I'm excited about this because this game looked really fun.
So I'm going to give you my one sentence review up front, and then we'll dive into it.
Okay.
I really, really, really wanted to like this game.
No.
And I do like this game.
Good. Yay.
But I hate this game.
Oh, okay.
There's so much to like about it. There is so much. The basic gist is you are this crab in a little tide pool. That's where you live. You don't have much going on, but you have a normal life and and then this new. I think it's I can't remember if it's a snail or a crab or what, but this new crab moves into the area and she's like the new queen, and she's raising taxes.
Oh no.
And so essentially a loan shark type person comes around and steals your shell.
Oh.
Because you're behind on these taxes that you didn't even know existed.
Well, is that a loan shark or is that the IRS?
It's the IRS, yeah. But we can't say that.
Well, I just said it.
And
that's what they do.
The funny thing is the character that comes to collect on your taxes is one of those little plastic shark heads that you squeeze and it chomps down. So anyway, because you aren't prepared to pay these taxes that they just made up yesterday, they take your shell. And so you have no... And the metaphor here is they took your home, right? You have no home, and so you are out in the world looking to get your shell back. And as you go through the world, you find other things that can be your shell, such as a Coke can that got thrown into the ocean that you now are wearing. So there's just all this, like, if you're a kid, you can totally enjoy this game and not even know all the, like, social commentary that's going on.
Right.
But as an adult, you can play it and it's like, this is hilarious, like, parodies of real life type thing. So there's so much going for it. The one thing that holds it back is it is intentionally, it's called a Souls-like game.
Oh, no.
Which, if you don't know what that means, my cynical take is it's intentionally hard for the sake of being hard and for
and to just make you mad.
Yeah, there's
like,
no
that's
purpose
the whole point
to the difficulty. It's just to be difficult.
Yeah.
My oldest son watches me play it, and I had to tell him at one point, I was like, buddy, this game's very difficult. If you keep asking questions, you're not going to be allowed to watch me play anymore. Because he was trying to ask me questions while I was fighting the boss, and I was getting my butt kicked by this boss. And it's the first boss of the game, too.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's just like, like I said, this game has so much going for it, but as we have talked about on this show before, I don't have time to, like, do the same thing 50 times just to try to figure out what it is the game wants me to do.
Yeah, no,
and
sure.
so, like, that really frustrates me because when your time is limited, I want to enjoy the game.
Right.
And I'm not going to just waste my time fighting this first boss over and over and over. So,
well, it's one of those things, too, where it kind of becomes a barrier to, like, enter into the game, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, I want to enjoy this game. I can't enjoy this game. I'm not going to play this game because I can't enjoy it because it's just too dang hard.
Right. So I after like I tried for probably a good 30 minutes to beat that boss. I put it down, ate dinner, didn't play it that night. I came back to it the next day. It took me another, I'm going to say 20 or 30 minutes to finally beat that boss.
Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't like, I don't even know how to describe it. It wasn't not, I knew what to do. I understood what to do. It was just difficult to do.
Right. Yep.
Like the combination of things you had to do in a very quick time was difficult.
Sure.
And so it was just like, I haven't even gotten to the second boss yet, and I'm just fighting what should be like common enemies out in the world, and I can't get past stuff.
That's
it's like
aggravating.
Each new little section that I come to takes 30 to 60 minutes just to get like 10 feet further, and it's like I
just want a fun game.
Yeah.
Like that game looks like so much fun.
It
just
has
looked cute and
so
fun.
much going for it. Like, it is a cute game. Like I said, my 2 oldest boys love it. They think it's hilarious.
Right.
Because it's just, this little crab and these other animals are picking on it and it fights back, and they think it's funny when he puts like a Coke can on his back.
Right. Yeah.
So like there's so much other stuff going for it, but the difficulty is just like, and
I don't want to get aggravated over something stupid in a game.
Yeah.
And when something is intentionally difficult just to make me mad, like that's just.
And if you, I had this happen. This also made me mad too, and it was a little bit of my own pride. But if you die like several times in a row, this little warning will pop up and tell you that like you can lower the difficulty.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Which that's fine. Like, I'm not against lowering the difficulty, but they very much designed it with the intent to be like this.
Right.
And so it's like,
well, it's like I've one of the Star Wars games, Fallen Order.
Yeah.
The first one, I think that's the first one. That is like that.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And I when I talked about that, like that's how that was. And it's one of those things where it's like I don't want to just be able to like because that like those were the level like there was a level of difficulty that was just like cinematic and it's just like enemies are really easy and you just kind of like the whole point is just kind of get through the story. But it's like I don't want it to be like a walk. Like I want to have some kind of a challenge.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be like intentionally frustrated
right.
because of the game. And I think there's a fine line to walk there. But
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's funny. It's a hilarious game. It would otherwise fit like all of our normal criteria. Like, so far I haven't seen any bad language. It's cartoony. There's no blood or gore. Obviously no nudity. I mean, it fits all of our other like categories for like, playing with kids around and all that. It's just because it's unnecessarily difficult, it's time consuming.
Right.
And multiple times I've gone to sit down and play a game when I have time, and it's like I'm gonna play something else because I'm not gonna waste the little bit of time that I have on this.
Yep.
So
absolutely. Well, okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting. That really is too bad.
Yeah. So like if you like, I know my brother likes those Souls games, and so if you like those, go for it because it's got a lot going for it. But it just that is a huge barrier that I can't get past
for sure. Okay. Well, that's a what was it? Another
crab's treasure.
Treasure.
Yeah.
Another crab's treasure. So I have a different game, obviously, but it's kind of the exact opposite.
Oh, all right.
So I've been playing, and I should back up. So we talked about this was going to be coming out in our March news episode, I think, or our February news episode that this game was going to be coming out because it came out in March. It's Princess Peach Showtime.
Oh yes, I've been seeing you.
My daughter is a huge fan of Princess Peach. My daughter loves Mario and Princess Peach, and as does my son. But this was a game that we got for her birthday.
Yep.
And so she has been she's played it, she's beaten it.
Nice.
And she really enjoyed it. and it's great. I'm glad she did. I wanted something that would be, rather easy and something that I could kind of sit down and play through relatively quickly. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to sit down and play Princess Peach Showtime. And so the premise is basically Peach goes to a theater, and there's this evil being that comes in and takes over the theater, and all of the stages have now been taken over by this evil person's minions, and so the stage plays have been ruined, and Peach comes in and has to fix the stage play.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of it kind of feels like a little bit of a throwback to Super Mario Brothers 2, or the American version of Super Mario Brothers 2, where it's where it kind of it's a stage where the curtain comes up and like there's or is that that's 2. Or is it 3?
I was sitting here debating in my mind if it was 2 or 3.
It's 3 because 2 is the dream. Sorry. No, I'm stupid. Super Mario Brothers 3. I'm a moron. Golly, I'm old. I forget things.
See, it's back to that.
Yeah, it is back to that
old.
thing. Yeah. Anyway, so it's kind of it feels kind of like that. Is how it's set up. But in each of the stage plays, there are different things that kind of go on. So each play has a different theme with it. So like the first one, it's like a castle, and you have to get the sword fighter costume, and so Peach becomes a sword fighter to complete the story of the sword fighter and complete the stage play.
Yeah.
And then that unleashes, frees it up. And then there's another one where you're a ninja, and so each one has a different kind of theme, and Peach takes on a characteristic. After she finds the costume, she gets the characteristic from that stage play, so that she can complete the stage play. And there's there are 3 stages for each play, basically. So you play through world 1 of the sword fighter, and then you have to go and get to the next level.
Okay. Gotcha.
So there's 4 stages on each level, and I think there's 3 levels. And anyway, so yeah, it's a really cool concept. And so where yours is cute and just too difficult, this one's cute and really, really easy.
Okay. Yeah.
And I actually really like it for that reason. Not because I enjoy playing it per se. It's a fun game. It's fine, but it's not really it's not for us.
My thinking, as you describe it, my thinking is this is to bring in a new generation of gamers to the Mario world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that it's a genre of game that is lacking in the industry right now. Because not only does it introduce the Mario character, or the Peach character as a playable person, what it actually does with each stage, you get different powers. So you have the sword fighter, so you can you have a sword fight. You have it introduces concepts that you would find in other games.
Yeah, right.
To allow you to kind of get an understanding about how video games are played.
Yeah.
Without being without you having to be to play a really difficult game.
Yeah.
But hey, here's something that you're going to run into in a game at some point. Yeah. You have to dodge, so you push this button and you'll dodge, and that way you can get behind the person and kill them from behind.
Yeah.
That's a very common thing that happens in a lot of games.
Right.
Even more advanced games, right? Where you have to, you dodge around
and
roll.
It's teaching mechanics.
Yeah.
Gaming mechanics.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, I just think it's an interesting way to, this is my take on it of how I've experienced it. So I think Nintendo did this intentionally. I could be completely off base, but it would make sense for Nintendo as a brand that they would do that. But the fact, my daughter likes watching me play video games. But anytime she's tried to play a game, like to really sit down and play it, like it hasn't been for her. It just doesn't. Things just don't click with her. Like she just gets really frustrated and she doesn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
She did, or she wants me to play and to beat the, like, here I'm at the boss, I can't beat it. Dad, will you beat it for me?
Do it. Yeah.
She played through this whole thing without me helping her
On her own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what all the helps and things like that it gives, because Nintendo is notorious for kind of like, oh, you're having a hard time with this, here's a bonus like health or something like that. So I think there's something like that if you die so many times, it's like, would you like to get get extra hearts? And so she probably had some of that, but like the fact that she was able to just do it without even asking me, like, how do I do this? Like,
no,
what do I
that's
need
awesome.
to do?
Yeah.
And she beat the whole game. So yeah, it's not a game for me. But I think it really is a game that is necessary in our current moment, as it were. Because there are not games that introduce people to gaming. Like,
there's so much assumption now that you just know how to do that.
Yeah, like, in the original Mario game, like, I remember watching a video on this, like, in, like, Super Mario Brothers, you are kind of, they set things up so that you kind of are taught as you play that first world. Yeah. You learn a lot in that first screen about, okay, well, this is a Goomba, or, this thing, if it touches me, I die. Yeah. You learn that pretty...
Don't let that touch you.
So I jump over that. Oh, if I jump on it and land on it, it kills it. You would learn that relatively quickly. And then you've got, 4 boxes right there. One has a mushroom in it, and the other ones have coins. And the coins are good, and the mushroom makes you bigger, and then you can break the blocks. In that one screen, it's taught you all of the basics.
A lot about the mechanics of the game.
We don't have that anymore, because there are so many mechanics in games that are just underlyingly understood. Oh, everyone knows about dodging. Yeah. And we'll teach people how to dodge, but we don't teach people like what that can do for them or anything like that. I don't know. I just think that it's an interesting concept to introduce a game like that not only does it teach you the mechanics for this one game, but gaming in general, like by introducing different characters. Like in the ninja one, like there's all kinds of stealth stuff that you have to do. Yeah. And that's, really a really common game. And so also it can kind of teach you like what kind of games like you might be interested in. Yeah. Because there's just so many different genres of stage plays that it kind of goes through. There's like a detective one, there's like a superhero one, a gadget one, like all kinds of different, like, it, just some really, really cool stuff.
So is it a platformer like traditional Mario games are, or
not exactly? No. Because it really is, you go in through the stage doors, and you're kind of on a stage, and you have to walk through, like it's a side scroller more than a platformer, I would say. All right. You come into contact with enemies, and there are points where like it is kind of traditional in that sense where you can't go back.
Oh, you got to keep going.
You have to keep moving forward after you get to a certain point. So it's not necessarily, it's not like you're not. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's not a platformer. No.
All right. The other question I have about it is, are there a lot of familiar faces from the, I'm going to call it Mario world?
So no, it's Peach, like Peach and Toad, like that's it. Okay. And Toad is really like Toad is just kind of there. But there are these new characters that you'll run into that have to do with the stage plays, basically. Yeah. There are these little, I can't think of what they're called right now off the top of my head, but they're the characters who are usually in the plays or who you're
but no Goombas,
nope,
Koopa Troopa, those guys.
Nope, nothing like that.
Interesting.
But some so far, I mean, some interesting boss fights and some, again, like the way that they do it, it really does make you figure out like, oh, this is how this would work.
Yeah.
And this is how this, and so like if you came across that in another game, which is probable, you would know, oh, this is what I would need to do.
I've done this before. Yeah.
So,
that's really interesting.
Again, just an interesting concept for a game, and one that I think it's sorely lacking in the market right now because we have games like Another Crab's Treasure where it's just like, oh yeah, like,
you already know how to do this.
Like, here's something extremely hard.
Yeah.
Or and even the games that are like, I don't know, kid friendly. Like, I feel like Minecraft would be like a really kid friendly game, but there's so much to Minecraft.
Yeah, there's like a gazillion different blocks that you can use.
And you have to learn and figure out so much about playing Minecraft before you can actually play Minecraft. Yeah. I've never played Minecraft, but I know enough about it, as I said in the last episode.
No, that's actually really interesting because I was at the store the other day and I had my oldest two. No, I had all three with me, and the older two boys we were just trying to kill some time while we were waiting for a pickup order, and we were looking at Nintendo games. And they were telling me, "Oh, Dad, can you add that one to my Christmas list or whatever, And they saw the Princess Peach game, and they were like, "Oh, there's a new Princess Peach game," which I knew, was coming out, but I didn't know anything about it, and so I didn't know how interested they would be in it. But they, based on just the cover, they were like, "Oh, cool, a Princess Peach game." And so based on what you're saying, I would actually really like them to play it.
Yeah.
Because they both enjoy playing video games, but recently both of them have been very, very guilty of they're playing something and they can't get past it, so they go, "Dad," and they hand me the controller. And I actually had to sit them both down the other day and say, "Guys, you're going to have video game time. The reason you're having it is because I need to cook dinner. I can't help you." Like, I had to tell them multiple times, "I can't help you right now, so if you can't figure it out, you're out of luck."
Yep.
And so, like, of course, even though I told them that, it didn't matter. Dad!
Right.
So, like, I would like them to play this Princess Peach game.
No, and like I said, so far the most fun episode, or the most fun stage play that I've done, I think, is the superhero one. Peach becomes, like, rocket powered and has, like, can, like, lift buses and things like that. But
that's cool.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of cool stuff in it. And it's I mean, so I don't recommend it for, if you're looking for a game for yourself. But again, like, as an introductory game, for kids to learn to play. But I mean, even the Lego games, like, you think about the Lego games as being, like, really simple, like, anyone can pick up a Lego game and play it and have a good time with it. And that's true. But, like, some of the puzzles and stuff in the Lego games are actually, really challenging and difficult to figure out.
What I just referenced with my kids, both of them are playing Lego games and asking me, "Dad, we can't get past this part." So, like, literally, I think I mentioned on the last episode that one got Lego Indiana Jones and one got Lego Batman, and that's what they're both asking me for help on because they can't, like,
so I mean,
figure out the puzzles.
If we're to a point where even, like, the simplest games are too complicated, like, doesn't it make sense for us to kind of go back to square one and figure out some ways to introduce some of these concepts in a way that isn't just a tutorial and also isn't just like a, here's a goofy game for it. Like, like, it's actually a well-made, fun game.
What I'm noticing is my oldest son, he can figure out some of the puzzle stuff, but where he's struggling is like he was playing the Lego Indiana Jones game, and there was a point where he had to, I think he had to do like a double jump and then also use his whip to like get across this thing, and so like that 3-button press was just like he's never done that before, and so like he has no, so he just kept trying to jump and he just kept falling down into the cliff, and so I was like, so I had to like kind of run around and figure out what the buttons were, and then once I figured it out, I was like, oh, this is what you have to do, buddy.
Right.
So that's what so I've noticed that a lot of like when I watch him or his friends play video games, there's a lot of coordination required. They were like, he and 3 of his friends were trying to play. They weren't trying. They were succeeding. They were playing Mario Kart the other day.
Yeah.
And then my middle child wanted to play because he saw his older brother playing Mario Kart, and the coordination for him to accelerate and steer and try to shoot the shells it's just too much for a 6-year-old, or at least for him at this point, a 5-year-old, not even 6 yet.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is like the coordination that's required is just too much, and then the puzzles are another thing that the middle kid, he has no idea. So he was trying to get past. There was like, he was playing Lego Batman and there was poison in the road.
Yeah.
And he could not figure out how to get past it. Well, he had to like climb up the building and go across, and then there was a vehicle he had to build and put together so that he could drive back. Level. And it was like,
I remember that level.
He's not gonna figure that out.
No.
So
So I don't know, when I feel like, and at what point? That's the other thing. Like, at what point are they going to pick up on those? Like, if you want gaming to be a thing, right? Like, at what point do you pick up on those things?
See, I don't know how I learned them.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't know how to...
No. Well,
me, it's all just like, duh, do this, but...
Right. But that's because, like, again, we started off on Mario. Where it's...
just jump.
Where it walked you through and you learned the mechanic, and it kind of grew up with us. And now we're to a point where, like, we have kids who are just kind of shoved into games, like... like if, what's the one? The one with all the dancing. Fortnite, jeez.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Like, just go play Fortnite. And, like, well, that's fine, but, like, what if you want to actually, like, play video games?
What if you want to play a real video game?
So, I don't know. Like, there's just so much. And I guess, like... So much of it is, you just watch other people play anymore. Like, that's what most people do. But if you want the gaming industry to continue, we have to have games that people can learn to play.
Yeah,
we have to have ways for them to learn, concepts.
It's interesting because I don't remember if it was on this show or not, but we were talking about, and I think Matt was part of the conversation, we were talking about how we really enjoyed the Mario movie, but we could tell that it wasn't really for us. It was for a new generation of people because
if it was for us, the story would make sense. The story makes no sense. It's completely convoluted and disconnected from reality. Like,
but what's funny though, like, at least to my kids, and it's probably the same for yours, it makes total sense to them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, of course Princess Peach would go to the Kong army. Why not? Like, yeah, why not?
Wouldn't you?
And so she's gonna train Mario overnight, and he's gonna go with her. Of course. That makes total sense. That he would just pick up on everything in one night. Why not? And, sure, there's a Rainbow Road that Peach should have known about that, in the first place when she went to get the Kong army to begin with, but they didn't.
Nah.
And, why wouldn't they get Mario Karts,
of course,
at the Kong? Why wouldn't the Kongs have a whole, arena set up already for, with blocks and everything?
Listen, don't come in here with your common sense, okay?
For a kid, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you've just taken all of the elements that they want to see.
Yeah.
And you put them into a movie that is at least tangentially connected to some, to something, and they're held together with tiny strands.
Mario, Peach, Bowser.
There it is.
It's held together.
That's it. The problem is that if they're wanting to expand that universe into other movies, you can't do that with the Zelda movie. You can't do that with the Metroid movie. Like,
no, I think
you have to connect that stuff.
But I don't think those will be. I could be wrong, but those will be live action, right?
Yes, that's the plan anyway. That's what they're talking. Well, for the Zelda one, there has not been any talk about a Metroid movie yet.
Come on, Nintendo.
Come on, Nintendo. That's gonna get announced before Metroid Prime 4. Oh man.
So anyway, no, that's really cool, and now I want my kids to play that game.
Yeah, you can borrow it.
All right.
Maybe I'll have to ask my daughter because it's technically hers. So.
Probably when I go home and tell my son how much your daughter likes the game, he'll probably want it, and he'll put it on his Christmas list.
Yeah, more likely than not.
So it may be a moot point, but
yeah. Anyway, I think that about wraps me up.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this wonderful, fantastic episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for downloading the episode. If you liked it, you can give us a like and a share and a subscribe and do all of the things.
Do all the things.
Thank you again so much for listening. We will catch you on the next episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast.
Bye.